New York, a wonderful town. The Bronx is up and the Battery's down. The people ride in a hole in the ground. New York, New York, it's a wonderful town.
And now, it's time for Talkin' New York Sports with Billy C. and Brooklyn Mike, part of the BillyCBoxing.com network of programming. And here's your hosts, Billy C. and Brooklyn Mike.
We're coming at you from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Billy C, and it's time for Talkin' New York Sports with Billy C and Brooklyn Mike. And joining us right now, all the way from beautiful North Carolina, is my man Brooklyn Mike. What's up, brother?
What's up, bro? How are you?
Doing a little better now. About ready to, flip out here. But let's get started. We're running a little late, but nonetheless, let's kick it off with the fights. Let's get the fight out of the way. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. You didn't get my official prediction, but I'm predicting, of course, the fight we're talking about is Robert "The Ghost" Guerrero challenging Floyd Mayweather Jr. in Las Vegas tonight. It's called Mayday. You on the Talking Boxing with Billy C's show yesterday, the special we've been doing, you picked reluctantly Floyd Mayweather to win. I followed you and actually picked Guerrero with an upset by knockout. What's your thoughts?
Well, let me ask you this. And we mentioned on your show yesterday, what tools does the Guerrero possess that you see him knocking out Floyd Mayweather, and a guy who is so elusive and probably one of the best defensive fighters that we have seen since Pernell Whitaker? I want to know what tools you see that will enable him to knock him out.
Let me ask you a question, Brooklyn Mike. If a football or baseball team constantly played the last place team day in, day out, week in, week out, and they were undefeated season after season at the end of the year, and they bragged about being undefeated, are they really that good of a team?
No.
All right. I use that analogy with Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather does possess great skill. He does. He is elusive, and all those things all those accolades you bring up. However, if you look at his resume in the last 8 to 10 years, he's cherry-picked fighters, and he's looked good against those level fighters. Now, getting back to your original question, what does Robert "The Ghost" Guerrero have? Well, he's been in a lot of tough fights, and he may not have that flash, he may not have that defense and stuff, but you know what he does have? He has no fear. And I really think the combination of Floyd's cherry-picking, the fact that he's 36 years old, the fact that he's slowing down, even you mentioned yesterday, his legs aren't what they used to be. I just think he's picked a rough and tumble guy that's in shape, that's going to come after him and make him work all night long. Now, with that said, if Floyd beats him, I got to give Floyd credit because this is really the first opponent that I see that's going to give him some trouble because of his aggressive style.
Well, I can't see.
Yeah, dude. I can't even hear you. I gotta restart your connection again. This is really bad. So I'm gonna get Mike back, and this is awful, and I apologize for that. But this is terrible stuff going on right now with the connection that we had with Brooklyn Mike. So I will correct that or try to correct that momentarily. However, in the meantime, I don't know what Mike was trying to say, but the bottom line is, the fight, no one's giving Robert "The Ghost" Guerrero much of a chance. I mean, honestly, nobody's giving him much of a chance at all. He's a guy that 2 years ago he was trying to get this fight, and even myself, I laughed at it. I laughed at the fact that he was even going to be competitive with Floyd. But since then, I've kind of changed my tune only because of the road he took. He fought. Remember, he's come up several weight classes, and he's fought a couple of decent guys. Now, be as it may, they're not Floyd Mayweather level, but decent guys in the same. Selkirk Iden and also Andre Berto, and he's literally earned his shot at Floyd Mayweather. You add that to the fact that Floyd must be slowing down. You would think he's slowing down, I think like I said to Mike before, the aggressive style of Robert the Ghost Guerrero, coupled with what I perceive is going to be a body attack, that he's going to come after Floyd. And that's something that a lot of fighters that have stepped in the ring with Floyd in the past have not done. They try to headhunt, which in my opinion is not the right thing to do to Floyd. His defense kind of is set up for fighters to go for the head, and he rolls with those punches. He's never affected by them because they never land cleanly. A great indicator on that was his last fight against Miguel Cotto. And Miguel Cotto had him where he wanted him, against the ropes and in the corners at times. But what Miguel Cotto failed to do was work the body and slow Floyd down. Instead, when he had him up against the ropes and when he had him in the corner, he did what most other fighters do. He started hunting for the head, getting all excited that he had Floyd where he wanted him, and maybe test Floyd's chin. We all saw Floyd not pass too much of a test when he fought the old, finished Sugar Shane Mosley, who rocked him in that fight. And, that was his big highlight of the fight, Sugar Shane Mosley rocking Floyd. And I think that Miguel Cotto bought into the fact that Floyd has a suspect chin and, proceeded to go after him. With that said, I think that Robert the Ghost Guerrero is a little more, he's got more of a calculated game plan, and I just see it going like that. Robert the Ghost Guerrero working the body and catching up with him late. That's pretty much how I see it. I mean, I know you disagree, right?
I do, because I look at Floyd's last opponent, which is Miguel Cotto, and Cotto did everything you just said that Guerrero was going to do, and it wasn't effective enough, and he got picked apart in the late rounds, which I think is going to be the same thing that's going to happen to Guerrero. And I said, well, what if I put Cotto and Guerrero in the ring together? Who would I, put my money on? And I would say Cotto. So I tried over and over to give Robert, something to say, okay, he was going to win, but I don't see it. And that's where I got the comparison is with Miguel Cotto, is that, the body punching, the aggressive style. And yes, Floyd did get hit more in that fight than he's ever gotten hit before. But I also think Miguel Cotto is a stronger puncher, a stronger opponent than Guerrero. So again, I just, I still come up with Floyd winning in a unanimous decision.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll bet you dinner, all right?
That's a deal.
All right, so that means we have to actually travel. Somebody's going to have to pay and travel. So we'll take it from there. It's going to be an exciting fight. Make sure you tune into the post-fight show immediately following the result. We're going to
listen. I hope you win too.
I know you do.
Nothing would make me happier than seeing Guerrero, upset the apple cart here. But listen, as long as I don't have to pay your bar bill and I'll just pay you for your dinner, I'm fine.
There you go. Nobody wants to pay my bar bill, that's for sure. All right, let's talk some hockey, man. Both the New York teams got in. The Islanders, who were both, we both loved the Islanders. They kind of were real hot last time we had a show, but then they backed into the playoffs, really starting to slip at the wrong time. They were down one game to the Pittsburgh Penguins, who arguably are the best team in the playoffs right now. And they rallied last night and even the series. What's your thoughts on the Islanders with this first series against the Penguins? And do they have a chance to go past the Penguins?
No, I think Pittsburgh is just too good. They won Game 1 without Sid the Kid. and Crosby comes back last night, and the Islanders actually beat them with Crosby in the lineup for the first time since March. Listen, it's just fun to see the Islanders back in the playoffs. I can't remember the last time, was it 93 maybe, that they were in the playoffs. They're an exciting young team. They still have a ways to go, but talent-wise, they just don't compare to Pittsburgh. It was a really intense game how they held on the last few minutes of that game to pull off the 1-goal victory. So it's a fun game. I did get the chance to watch it as well as the Knick game last night, which we'll get into later. But no, I don't give them much of a chance. I see Pittsburgh winning this in 5, maybe 6 games.
Do you think the pressure, I mean, a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the Islanders, and they were in a situation where they were looking at every game as a playoff game, like their playoffs has already started. And really, I mean, a month or so ago, you were, not even giving them a chance to get into playoffs. They ended up going on a win streak. They looked like they were in really good shape before they dropped a couple of games. Thank God they won, or I should say, thank God they lost a couple at the end in shootouts to get those points so that they ended up in the playoffs. But do you think the pressure that they kind of put on themselves, you think it's catching up with them now with arguably the best team in hockey?
No, because there's no pressure for them to win. It's not like a team that's expected to win. You've been out of
New York too long, man. You've been out of New York too long. What do you mean there's no pressure on them to win?
Listen. If it's the New York Giants or if it's the Yankees, there's pressure there. But hockey, Islanders who haven't done anything in the last 15 years, how could these kids are just kids? They've never tasted playoffs before, so that's why there's this. I don't feel there's pressure on this team. There's pressure on the Rangers because of all their high-priced free agents that they pulled in, and Tortorella being the coach. That's a team that's under pressure because they were expected to make the playoffs, if not the finals. But the Islanders, these are just a bunch of kids that, like I said, it's still a young team. With Tavares is going to be there for a long time. And I expect them to get better and better. I like what Capiano has done with this team. They need a few pieces to the puzzle. So I think they're just going out there having fun. They're playing hard, and it's just a joy to watch them right now. But you want to talk about pressure, you talk about that other team, and I hope they just sink.
Well, speaking of the Rangers, they're down 1 game to the Washington Capitals, and I agree with you, and they kind of got into the playoffs the opposite way the Islanders did. They were sinking. The Islanders were rising. We were both jumping for joy. Then the Islanders lost a few games, and the Rangers won, and they ended up in a better seeded spot than the Islanders. What's your thoughts? Are they going to get by Washington?
They should get by Washington. But that being said, already they're down 1 game to none, and they played today at 12:30. Listen, what they have to avoid is the penalties. I mean, this team, the Capitals, is the best power play team in hockey. So the Rangers have to, keep all their guys on the ice at all times, and mix up the lines a little bit. They got to do something to shake it up because they're not scoring. So again, they should beat this team. But and they've dominated Washington in the past in the playoffs. So I do see the Rangers, coming out of this in 6 games. I don't see Washington taking this. It's just they're just, to me, it's an inferior team, and the Rangers do play them well. First game was the first game, but you're not going to sweep this team either.
Neither one of us are big hockey fans. We've gone on record to admit that, but at this stage of the game, I mean, I think you and I think I was first and you were second online. Who cares if there's a hockey season this year? But now that we're in the playoffs. Now that we're in the playoffs, who do you see emerging for the Stanley Cup? What's your prediction?
I think it's going to come from the West, and it's going to be probably the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chicago is just. They won that. They had that incredible streak of 20+ games without a loss. Or maybe Anaheim, but I'm going to say Chicago.
I like the Sharks. I mean,
Do you really?
Well, I'm actually I'd love to see two underdog teams get in there, and the Sharks and the Islanders. I would love to see play for the Cup, man. I know it's impossible, and the
That's
Blackhawks.
far-fetched.
I know, and the Blackhawks are too strong. The Penguins are too strong.
Right.
If everything goes right, it should be the Penguins and Blackhawks. I agree with you, but and quite honestly, I guess the ratings. I guess NHL would rather see the Penguins and the Blackhawks too. But for me. And for the excitement and for always going for the underdog, I would love nothing more than to see the Sharks and the Islanders. That would be kind of cool.
It would be, but again, that's just that's a little far fetched.
Hey, so is my Robert the Ghost Guerrero pick. You know what? You're going to make fun of me now? I mean, come on.
Wait. Well, so is your LA Clippers pick, but I'll get into that later on.
Hey, wait a minute. The Clippers had a very respectful season. I mean, we can't get crazy about that. And last year, and you also laughed just as hard when I picked the A's last year. You know, and we all know where that went. You know, don't make me bring up you jinxing the Mets from the All-Star break. Don't make me bring that up. You know, we'll get to the Mets in a little bit, but let's talk a little hoops, man, because I really. Well, first and foremost, the Knicks finally beat the Celtics. Everybody thought it was going to be a sweep. The Knicks were a big favorite for the East, of course, dominating the East for most of the season. I am not surprised that they beat the Celtics, except I kind of thought the Celtics had one more win in them. And I was a little surprised that they lost last night. I thought it would end up coming back to New York and have New York win in dramatic style, but it's over. The Knicks won 4-2. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't think the Knicks wanted to come back to New York. Could you imagine the pressure on that team, especially Carmelo Anthony? You know, up 3-0 in Boston. I mean, already they were comparing it to the Red Sox and the Yankees of 2004 and all. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, the Knicks fans are on the on the ledge, just getting ready to jump off.
And I thought I saw you.
They're not going back.
I thought I saw you right behind those fans, getting ready to give them a pitch.
I don't want the Knicks. I'm Brooklyn. You know that.
I meant you.
I was watching that game last night, and I like you. I thought Boston was going to take it. Game 6, and it was going to go to Game 7. But I mean, the Knicks are just playing smothering defense the first 3.5 quarters, and all of a sudden up by 26, and then 20 straight points by Boston, and to bring the game to 6 points. I was like, well, where did this come from? I mean, the Knicks were just turning the ball over. They couldn't hit anything. Smith was cold as ice. I mean, it got exciting towards the end, but 26 points is a lot to overcome. And the Knicks hit a couple of key shots, Carmelo, and they put it away, 92-86 last night. But I'm sorry, 88-80 last night. Yeah, I mean, it got close for a while. It became a nail biter, and I was rooting for Boston. I don't know if we talked about the game before game 5. But the whole nonsense of the Knicks wearing black, coming into the Boston Garden, dressed for a funeral, that just annoyed the hell out of me. I don't know about you, but I was just so annoyed about that.
Well, I was more annoyed with the Knicks choking at home, and big melee breaks out and everything else, but. I don't know. What I was saying before was I thought I saw you not on the ledge to jump. I thought you were on the ledge to push, some of the fans off.
Oh yeah. Nothing. Aggravates me more than Knicks fans. As Ranger fans, they're like one of the same.
No, Giants fans, Giants and Yankees fans are one of the same. But we'll get to that.
That's true.
The Knicks, for the first time, I heard a lot of people saying that they needed the win. They actually needed the win before last night's game, and they started mentioning the rest factor, that the Knicks are an old team and they need the rest and blah blah blah. It's something that we know. But we didn't really talk about it at all this year, And do you think that the age factor does have is significant? Do you think that as these playoffs start to get deeper and deeper, and obviously the competition gets better and better as you move on, is that going to play a big factor for the Knicks?
Well, if you have to play these aged players, a lot of minutes, like there was time during the season when they got hit with the injury bug, and you had like Jason Kidd on the floor for 28 plus minutes. Yeah, that's going to be a factor, and they're going to have no hope. But if they stay healthy, and with the acquisition of Kenyon Martin, they should go pretty deep. They should get by Indiana and make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. But that all depends on this team staying healthy. If they have to rely on the old veterans, and I'll talk about old, I'm talking like 35 plus. No, that's going to be a big problem for this team. But with the team that they have now, as healthy as they are, yeah, they should make it to the finals.
You mentioned Kmart. He's no spring chicken either anymore.
No, he's 30, 35.
Yeah.
He's up there.
Yeah.
But with the spark, you could see the spark that he brought to this team. I mean, the only guy that was playing defense on this team was Tyson Chandler. But he has brought a not only defense, but just a toughness, a nastiness to the team, which is what they needed. A spark plug, and he's really helped this team get to this level that they're playing right now. So they're going to need that against Indiana, because Indiana's a physical team. But if they get by Indiana, then you're going to be playing Miami. And like I said, we said like last time we did the show, there's nobody that's beaten Miami Heat. I mean, this team has an easier ride this year than they did last year, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that means you're not giving our Nets much of a chance. And speaking of the Nets, I thought that they were going to have kind of well, you specifically said that there's no way that the Bulls are going to beat the Nets, especially since the star player was out, and I kind of mirrored that sentiment. And the bottom line is this: the Nets are making it difficult on themselves. I caught the game, not the tying game the other night, but the one where they just let Robinson look like Nate Robinson look like he made Michael Jordan look ordinary. I mean, the guy could not miss. I couldn't believe that the Nets let that game slip out of their hands the way they did, and then couldn't make any defensive stands. I mean, they had no answer for this guy, Nate Robinson, in that game prior to the other nights. What's your thoughts on that game? Did you catch it?
Yeah, I did. I mean, that was the game they just blew a 14-point lead late in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was 14. They were up by 14 with 3+ minutes to go. I mean, that's inexcusable. You can't do that.
I think at one point it was a 10 or 12-0 run for the Bulls.
Chicago. Yep, exactly. And you can't do that against this team. We said, at the beginning of the playoffs, I said this is going to be a physical, tough, gritty series, and which it's turned out to be. And you just can't. I mean, you got a team on the ropes like that. You just got to put them away, especially when they're playing in Chicago. So yeah, they put themselves in a difficult position. They were down 3-1, but now it's Game 7. They're playing at home. They got to make a stand. This is their court. This is their home. They should win this game tonight. I feel confident they're going to win this game tonight, and then it's on to Miami.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what would have been nice is if they had a chance to rest a little bit, and took care of business against Chicago the way they should have, assuming they win tonight. You think that the stars are aligned. At least I think the stars are aligned for them. They are back in Brooklyn. They are going to be playing with some emotion that maybe slipped out of them in Chicago, especially the other night. Or last weekend, I should say. But we'll see what happens. I have confidence that they're going to get by the Bulls tonight and advance. My question is should they advance and beat the Bulls, which I don't think is an easy task. The Nets have shown to me. I was pulling what little hair I have left out of my head, and I'm saying to myself, why in the Bulls game? Let's go back, because they held on. They made a defensive stand the other night. and won with I think 3 seconds to go. The Bulls had multiple chances to tie the game and they failed. So I give them the Nets credit for holding on. But when I go back to that previous game, I couldn't understand, and it was really ticking me off that they're up. And here they are, and the Bulls are, driving and cutting the lead and doing everything that we watched Nate Robinson do. And what do the Nets do when they get the ball? They try for three-pointers. I'm saying to myself, why are they shooting? I mean, granted, if they have the open shot, fine. But why are they going for three-pointers when all they needed to do was just keep scoring points instead of turning the ball over? And before you know it, they're down in that game. I just couldn't get it, man.
Yeah, they didn't use a 24-second clock. They went down, shot the three-pointer, shot the three-pointer. I'm like, are you serious? I mean, you got to hold on to this lead. And I didn't understand that. It made no sense to me. I pulling my hair out as well. But yeah. And then the foul shooting. I thought maybe Shaquille O'Neal was playing for the Nets. I mean, they couldn't hit foul shots. I mean, it was very disheartening to watch. I mean, it was an exciting game. Went into 3 overtimes, the whole 9. But I'm saying to myself, man, what? This is not the Nets team that I had such high hopes for at the beginning of the year. And then to watch the Bulls with a smothering defense and the Nets have no answer. I don't know why every team doesn't play a defense like the Bulls, because clearly the Nets couldn't get. They had trouble, just passing the ball. I mean, that defense of the Bulls, you got to give them credit. Their defense is their game. They're like we said earlier, is that they're not a scoring team. But you take away Boozer, I mean, there's nobody scores on that team. It's all about their defense, and I mean, and they're good at it. But listen, tonight, like I said, we're in Brooklyn, Game 7. I don't see them losing this one at home. I think they're gonna dig down deep, play a tough game. Lopez has been great.
Well, they spread it around pretty well when they evened up the series. I mean, Lopez and what's his name?
But he's been playing tough. We said before that he's a soft 7-footer. He's been playing really tough ball under the board. So I got to give him credit.
What about the bench? Is the bench going to come on for us? I mean, I know that they played well the other day, but tonight's a big game for the Nets.
Yeah, and the bench has to perform tonight. There's no doubt about it. So we'll see. We'll see. It's gonna come down to like yesterday's game or the day before. It's gonna be close, 2-3 point game. It's gonna be tough, but I think they'll pull it out.
Okay, well, here's the $1 million question. I think they're gonna pull it out too. Should they win? Mm-hmm. You giving them no chance against the Heat?
None whatsoever. None. Listen.
Think about it. Think before you answer. Before you answer, give it some thought. Okay,
let me give it some thought.
No.
None whatsoever. Come on, man. This team is just too good. I mean, they just walked through Milwaukee. I mean, the closest game was 11 points. I mean, it's ridiculous. And like I said, this is a better team than last year. Plus, the competition isn't as good for them. I mean, last year, Miami was down, 3-2, and they had to win 2 in a row, and one of them in Boston, to advance, and they did. I mean, so everybody was talking about LeBron and the pressure, and he can't make that next jump. Well, he did, and this year the competition isn't as strong to get to the finals, and in the finals, I mean, look, Oklahoma City, they lost their guard. That's a big blow to them. I don't see anybody, even Memphis, who I said was my sleeper team, coming out of the West. I don't see anybody giving them any trouble whatsoever. Well, will they play that with the Nets? No, I give the Nets maybe one game in Brooklyn, maybe. So Miami in 5.
Well, the Clippers are still hanging on. They got a game, and I'm still rooting for the Golden State. I like both of those teams. Your
Clippers are done. They were done last night.
Oh, I'm not looking at. I didn't get the score last night. They're done.
Done.
Oh, geez, I'm sitting here. I'm looking 3-2. They're still hanging on. I thought the game was today. No wonder why you're all happy.
The team that I said was my sleeper team in the West was Memphis, and that's when they were playing the Clippers. And you're like, oh no, they're playing my Clippers. And I said that's my sleeper team. They beat them 4-2.
No, my new team is Golden State now. So that's a team from the West. That's my new team. But,
that's a new team.
How do you see it shaking down, man? Who's going to be playing the Heat? Obviously, you think the Heat's going to be in the championship game. Who's going to play them? I mean, with the injury with Oklahoma City, that you just mentioned, their star player. I mean, that's got to change the complexion there. I mean, that opens up the doors for some of these other teams. Do my Warriors got a shot?
Yeah, Westbrook is he's a difference maker. He's that team's a different team when he's not on the court. Wow. It's gonna be tough, and then they're playing that team that I said is my sleeper team, which is Memphis. I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis beats Oklahoma City. And as far as your new team, Golden State, they're going up against San Antonio, and San Antonio's got to be considered one of the favorites to get to the finals. I see San Antonio and Memphis in the Western Conference Final, and. Listen, I'll stick with my sleeper team. I'm going to say Memphis is going to make it to the finals. I have to.
Now, is Jerry West affiliated with Memphis?
I don't know for sure.
Because I know that he was obviously had a great career with the Lakers, and then he was affiliated with the Lakers for a while. But then I'm almost sure that he jumped ship and he ended up over with Memphis Grizzlies, but. Unless he only did that temporarily, I'm talking about like in the office and stuff.
Yeah.
I know he's not shooting. I know he's not shooting any free throw. Oh, that was Rick Barry's famous free throw. But bring it back.
So how do you see the West coming out? I mean, I'm not holding you to it, but.
Honestly, I'm trying to focus on the Nets, but I'm pulling for Golden State.
Golden State.
Yeah,
because of Mark Jackson. Because
I like Golden State. Those two teams, the Warriors and the Clippers. They for years they've been playing second and third fiddle in the West to, of course, the Lakers, and I just. They've been slowly, especially the Clippers, they were slowly building that team. They got some young talent on that team that I think they're going to have to, people are going to have to respect them for the next couple of years. And Golden State, too, they've been playing surprising basketball. A lot of the experts are shocked that they're still where they are, So
yeah, people don't think they'd beat Denver. I mean, Steph Curry has been great. Listen, I'm Mark Jackson, former New Yorker. I mean, I got to root for him.
Yeah, but he's former New York Knick. Former Knick, though. Jackson.
Well, yeah, St. John's, right?
All right.
But
I'll give you that.
Got to be concerned about signing Chris Paul again. If they could do that, then they should be back in the playoffs again next year. But if they lose Chris Paul, and there's always been talk about the Knicks picking him up, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's going to get interesting. This next round, especially if the Nets can get into this next round, I think this next round is going to start to clarify some stuff for us, because some of the teams that were favored big time have struggled in the first round. So we'll see. We'll see how it unfolds, man.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Let's talk a little baseball. First and foremost, little Yankee news. It was announced that A-Rod is set for what they're calling baseball-related activities. The last I heard anything about A-Rod, Mikey, was that the Yankees were just praying that it was going to be proven that he indeed was on the juice again, so that they could just kick him to the curb. What's going on with A-Rod? I haven't heard anything since I heard the latest.
But even if it's proven that he did this, I mean, the contract, you can't void the contract.
No, that's wrong. Wait a minute. I think you're wrong. I think that
no.
No, wait a minute. If it's steroids, they somehow get out of the contract. I'm telling you. If you look that up, I'm positive that I saw somewhere that the Yankees were not commenting on it. They were waiting for the official announcement from Major League Baseball. I think maybe that might be a key to it. If Major League Baseball basically says that he was on the juice, then the Yankees were able to cut some of their losses with that contract. I'm 99.9% positive.
But let me ask you this. I mean, the last collective bargaining agreement, they have rules and the rules are if you're caught the first time, this is your penalty. Second time, this is your penalty. How does that transfer into the Yankees voiding a contract? If that was true, why wasn't Manny Ramirez's contract voided? Why wasn't all these other contracts voided? The CBA has these punishments, these penalties in line. I mean, that's the punishment, whatever was agreed upon in the CBA. Yeah, listen, I'll take your word for it, and I'll look into it. I don't think it's right, but I don't see the Yankees voiding his contract at all.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There was some kind of a stipulation. Maybe it was maybe it was within their contract with A-Rod. I don't know. I remember reading it, and you and I thought talked about it, and I don't know, unless I'm having some kind of brain lapse here. That's what I thought, and then I hadn't heard a thing about Rodriguez until it was announced yesterday that he's been cleared medically to resume baseball activities. And what does that mean for the Yankees?
Listen, he's still part of the team. And he's going to rehab, and if he can make it back, that's a big if. I mean, this is his second hip surgery. It's a serious surgery. You don't know if he can even make it back. I mean, I think the Yankees' best scenario here is they hope that physically he just can't play the game anymore, and that way not only do they lose the contract, but the insurance company takes care of the contract.
Yeah, maybe it's something to do with the insurance. If the steroids, maybe the insurance company doesn't pay, or there's something. I'm telling you, there's something. I just can't recall. But we'll move on. The Yankees lost last night. They seem to be slipping a little bit, which I'm sure you are just as happy as I am with that. But they are overachieving more than I thought so this early in the season. I figured they would be similar to the Mets. Holding on to the third worst baseball record in the majors. The Mets are proud owners of that. But, as far as the Yankees, they're being competitive. They're only 2.5 out, and they're behind a team which I thought was going to be in the cellar with Boston. What's your thoughts on the East?
Well, we thought that the Yankees would probably finish third, and, it's still a long season, but, you got to give credit to Girardi. They've had 10 people on the DL, which is second or third, I should say, only to the Marlins and the Blue Jays, both of which are last place teams. So they've done a heck of a job. The guys that they acquired, Vernon Wells, Ogilvy, Hafner, they've been playing above and beyond anybody's expectations. And people saying, how come the Yankees go out and they get these guys and the Mets? And I said, well, these guys aren't really, I wouldn't say bottom of the barrel. You compare like Vernon Wells to a guy like Colin Cowgill, who was booted down to the minors. There's a
yeah, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that. You were high on him at one time, but keep going with the Yankee talk.
Don't let me bring up your Clippers again.
Come on, man. They were respectable. You can't keep cutting on the Clippers, man. They made it to the playoffs. They made it to the playoffs.
Whatever. My Memphis Grizzlies beat them. Anyway, what I was saying is these guys have had excellent major league careers. So they're in the twilight of their career, and they just happen to be playing well. Sometimes a change of scenery, whatever. But like I said, a lot of credit's got to be given to Joe Girardi. He's done a great job. He's a lot of guys been injured, like I said, and they're gonna get some people back. Teixeira's maybe he just started hitting off the tee, so Teixeira's maybe 2 weeks away. Jeter everybody knows Jeter's probably coming back after the All-Star break, and Granderson is pretty close. Granderson, he broke his arm, but when he comes back, he should be fine. He's relatively young compared to the rest of the Yankees, and they need they could use his pop and his bat. Listen, the Yankees they're going to be around there. Like I said, this is one of the toughest divisions in baseball, and they will be in that area, and don't forget, we talked about beginning of the season, Toronto getting all these players from the Marlins, and I said, well, just because it's on paper, the Marlins did it 2 years ago, and look what happened. They were terrible. Well, look what's happened in Toronto.
Well,
that team is falling apart.
It is falling apart, and it almost looks like the Mets made a smart move with Dickey. He's been struggling with injuries. You know, he's finally. I think he's coming back today, as a matter of fact. Yeah, you know, the Toronto deal surprises me. I thought that the team would be doing much better. But on the other hand, and we've talked about this many times, you know, going to Toronto is like being, you know, sent to Siberia. You know, I mean,
Right.
you know, I can't see that team being up to play for the Toronto Blue Jays. You know, the players on the team. You know, it was a shocker that the talent level individually from the Marlins in one sweep went over to Toronto, and that they wouldn't perform. That is kind of surprising to me. But they're not. They're not performing. They're in the cellar, similar to the Marlins, which everybody thought would be in the cellar. But the Baltimore Orioles, who you said was going to have no chance at all, they're hanging in there. They're playing tough, you know. So you're right. That's a tough division, really, even with Toronto being in last place.
Yeah, I mean, and also Tampa Bay is hanging in there. You know, they're like 3 games under 500. But, you know, we did say that Boston was going to, you know, have a much better year this year than last year. Their pitching has been, you know, unbelievable right now.
We didn't think they'd be in first place, though. Come on.
It doesn't surprise. Someone's got to be in first place. We said it wasn't going to be the Yankees. Tampa Bay, you know, they lost a lot of, you know, they only have, the hitting is Longoria. You know, but we said Boston's going to be right up there. You know, I mean, someone's got to be in first place in this. They're going to beat each other up this division, and the Yankees are playing over their head right now, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if they can hold on, you know, throughout the whole year like that, but it's going to come. You know, it's going to probably come down Boston, and you know, either Baltimore or New York.
Well, you know, what's the deal with the Yankees pitching? Are they going to, you know, to me, they're being held together right now by you know, gum and some thread. You know, they're old. Generally, the pitching staff is old. That's been my question from day one, although they're all pitching well, at least up to this point. Are they going to stick around? Are they going to stay healthy? We all know that, what's his name, just went on the DL on Jabba. Yeah, you know, is that going to affect him?
He had an oblique injury. I didn't even know he had an oblique.
What is an oblique, man? His
whole body is an oblique.
Isn't that like what we're looking at for the Jets season coming up? It's oblique.
Yeah, very oblique.
It's an oblique season.
Listen, the pitching staff, you know, they're still pretty solid. I mean, and everybody talks about Andy Pettitte.
He's 100.
You know,
he's 100.
His age.
He's 100.
You know, he's still 3-2. He's got a respectable. He's under 4 with his ERA, which is respectable. Kuroda, I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, he's up there too in age, 38, 39 years old, and he's got a 2.25, 4-1. He's like pretty much the ace of the staff right now. Sabathia, you know, he's the workhorse. You know, even Phil Hughes, even though his record is 0-2, he's been pretty solid his last couple of performances. So, yeah, they should listen. You take this pitching staff and you compare it to other pitching staffs, it's still a pretty solid rotation. And in the bullpen, listen, Mariano, 43 years old. He's got a 1.59 ERA. He's got 11 saves already. The guy's phenomenal. You know, everybody says, oh, he's getting old, he's going to lose velocity. He doesn't need velocity. The way he places that pitch, it's all about location.
Yeah.
He's still breaking bats. He's unbelievable.
You know, it's crazy because today's baseball is all about the bullpen. Yes, you need your 5. You need good starting 5, but today's games, you know, if a pitcher can get to the 7th inning, everybody's high-fiving each other. You know, he went a long distance. They expect him to go 6, but if they can get to 7, they're happier than a pig, and you know what. And the Yankees, you know, their bullpen has been okay, you know, and their starting pitching has been okay, and as a result, they're in second place, only 2.5 games out. So, real quickly, the rest of the AL. The Central seems up for grabs, in my opinion. Kansas City shocking me.
We said. I said at the beginning of the year that watch that team. It's going to be. They're going to play much better baseball than people anticipate, and they might be in the hunt for the wild card. But I did pick Detroit to win the Central. I think they're just going to get stronger as the year goes on, and right now they're in first place.
Well, you can't rule out the White Sox, even though they're in last place, and you can't rule out Cleveland. Cleveland made some smart moves in the offseason, man, and one of them was picking up what's his name, what was his name, Kazmaier, who was the Met? I can't think of his name.
Oh, Kazmaier.
Oh, Kazmaier. Yeah, I was right.
Yeah,
Kazmaier.
Yeah, when you got Francona, who's now the manager, and they picked up Swisher from the Yankees. Yeah, I mean, they did make some good moves.
Yeah, they made some decent moves.
I just think Detroit is a little bit too strong, with that pitching staff.
Yeah. Well,
this is a team that lost in the World Series last year, so they're going to be up there.
Well, the Detroit is an injury away from not having a good pitching staff, so we'll see what happens. In the West, Texas is dominating again.
I'm surprised.
It's strange about Texas. They're really they're the Yankees of the West. I mean, when you look at Texas, they've just been so solid, and who's on their heels? Oh yeah, Oakland. Oakland's the next team. So and that's
Oakland was no fluke last year.
And they lost some guys, too. So I love those young, scrappy teams. I really do. I really do. And Houston. Well, it doesn't matter which league they play in; they still suck.
No, I guess not. Yeah, but I'm really surprised about the Angels.
Yeah, but the Angels come on late every year. They start off slow every year. So hey, let me ask you a question about the Astros real quick. Did they ever fix? Maybe they did this last year, but did they ever fix that crazy, funky center field that they have that has like some kind of we
need mountain climbing rope.
Yeah, it's like it's like a miniature golf course out there. I don't even know how they were allowed to do that. I don't know how MLB let them do that, man. But that had to be the strangest outfield that I've ever seen. Did they ever fix that? Was it fixed?
Not to my knowledge. I think it's still the same. It's just it makes no sense. Why would you want a hill in your outfield?
I know.
Why don't you put landmines in your outfield?
Well, I could see if you could roll it out when you're at bat. Like if you had the chance to do that, I would be the first one to vote for that. But even your own guys, you're going back for a ball, going back, bam, and then they're down. They hit the ground because of the unevenness. But
yeah, I mean, you could easily roll your ankle in such an uneven plane. You step part of your foot on the hill, and your other. I mean, it's easy to roll your ankle and twist it. Doesn't make sense.
No, it's crazy. Let's talk NL and those amazing Mets.
2 in a row, baby.
2 in a row, baby. We're going to the World Series. Hey, listen, man. This year, I'm having a hard time watching the Mets. I got to be honest with you. I was upset with them all coming up to the season. You know that. Although your idol is doing well on third base and well behind the plate. They got the third worst record in Major League Baseball. All right. Their pitching staff, their starting pitching really hasn't been that bad. I mean, I'm a little pleasantly surprised. My hang-up with the starting pitching is that the Mets don't expect their starters to go 6 innings. They're set up to go 5, to get into the 6th inning. Oh, my goodness, if you can go to 7, and then they hand the ball over to the kiss of death. There's not one guy in that bullpen that's warming up that I even have a little bit of faith in. Mikey, I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't know how you can get your ass out of bed, get dressed, and drive to the ballpark every day when you're part of that team, knowing that bullpen is going to screw it up for you. I mean, there's going to have to be at some point, if it's not happening already, some division in that clubhouse. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same problem that we had last year, and it's the bullpen. It's the hardest thing to have a good bullpen is the key nowadays. You mentioned it before. Teams rely on the bullpen more than ever, and That was our same Achilles heel last year, and it's going to be the same problem again this year. I mean, listen, you can talk all you want about Bobby Purnell, but anybody that throws 100 miles an hour but the ball is straight as an arrow, he's going to get hit. So, I mean, there's no legitimate closer in that team. And it's once he starts to falter more, it's going to be by committee. I mean, listen, Colin's got nothing to work with. I'm tired of hearing reports about, is his job safe? Who are you going to put in there? Who are you going to put in there? You're going to put Socher? You're going to put Girardi? You're going to put Lupinella? You can put anybody you want in there. Casey Stengel. The team is the team. They're terrible.
I think we got Casey Stengel in there right now. It's about the same as when he was around with the Mets. But it's just sickening to watch the team. It just is. It's got to be disheartening for a young pitching staff, starting rotation, who has talent. We got to admit. I mean, whether you hate the situation for the Mets, I mean, I kind of. Honestly, I think the brightest spot is the starting rotation. I'm happy to see those guys, even some of the ones that are struggling. But that bullpen is just awful. I mean, giving up, hits. Getting a game when you're ahead and then just watching it just just go in the other direction from the bullpen. Has to be, or from the bench in this case, has to be disheartening for the starting pitching. I mean, Valdespin, the guy that you didn't think anything of, he's come through in the clutch a couple of times, huh?
Yeah, I mean, this guy's got, 10 home runs a lifetime, and 6 of them are pinch hit home runs. I mean, he's great off the bench.
Well, he's forever going to be a hero with that grand slam walk-off a couple weeks ago, man. That was nice.
Yeah, it was, but an everyday player. He's a nice player. Don't get me wrong, but to have him in the lineup every day, his numbers at the end of the year aren't gonna stand out. One of the biggest problems I have is obviously Ike Davis. I mean, it's the same thing again as last year. He's been brutal. I mean, we're into May and he's batting 167. He might be worse than last year, to be honest with you. I don't know. What do you do with him? I mean, last year he came on towards the end and he had a hot streak and he had 32 home runs. But I mean, like I said, I keep saying this over and over, and I sound like a broken record, but he's like the Dave Kingman of the Mets.
He's and first of all, is he twins with Buck? I mean, I can't tell those two apart. When they have the batting helmets on, they look identical, don't they?
With the beards?
Yeah, they did, and they got that same, that horse-looking face. Like when the horse walks into the bar and the bartender says to the horse, "Hey, why the long face?" Yep. Anyway, Ike Davis, I think one of his problems is that he doesn't have a standard. He changes his batting stance every single game. He's doing something different. If he gets a hit, he says, "Oh, this is going to work," and he starts doing that. I think he's a guy without a form. I think that's his problem. You gotta stick with something, man. The constant tweaking and changing. I don't think it works. I think the technology is hurting the ball players when it comes to that.
Yeah, but what's the answer? I mean, you got to find. He's got to find something that's right. I mean, okay, so when he came on last year and he, towards the end he was on a hot streak, he was hitting home runs. Why isn't he doing what he did then? I mean, it's just, what is the answer to this guy? Do you send him down to the minors? I mean, they fought back and forth last year about sending him down, and they never did. They kept him up the whole year. But I mean, at this point, and you said this many times. Let's see what we have down in the minors. Bring some guys up, because I mean the season pretty much. We know where the season's going. I mean, we're not stupid. We're Met fans. We know this. So send them down to the minors. Bring somebody else up to play first. But I don't care who it is at this point. Let him work it out in the minors, because he's just killing us. And
our minor league team is doing pretty good. The AAA team, the Area 51s, is doing pretty good. I mean, so everybody collectively is doing well there. My man is helping the pitchers. We know that, man. We're starting to get a lot of good word out of Vegas about the pitching staff that's on the AAA level. Speaking of AAA, your guy that you said was going to be good, Colin Cowgill, was
Wait a
shipped
second.
down. Was
I didn't
shipped
say
down.
he was going to be good.
You said, "Oh, he's going to be a solid outfielder." That's what you said. You said that you liked that trade when we ended up with Calgill. Instead, we get another guy. Might as well be Joe Smith. Instead, we got Andrew Brown. We're switching Calgill for Andrew Brown. I know nothing about Andrew Brown. What are we in for here?
Well, at least Brown had some good numbers in Vegas. So, we'll see if he could do something. But,
and I could have good home run numbers in Vegas. I think if you just throw the ball, it goes out of the park. So
listen, again, let's bring them up. Let's see what we got, because these are the guys of our future, and we've talked about this many times. It's like you even said, I don't mind if the Mets have a terrible season, but if we're going to stick to the plan and we're going to check out what we have in the minors, bring these guys up.
I agree.
Play. Well,
that's what I want.
Now you're going to see Andrew Brown play.
Good. I'd rather see that. I like Valdespin. Tejada's having a good year. Your idol David Wright's having a good year. Murphy, come on, man. Murphy, what is he on the team for? He does nothing. He does nothing.
He got a 291 batting average. I mean, what do you want him to do?
But he's coming off the bench all the time. He's obviously not. I don't know.
I mean, he's a okay second baseman. I mean, any guy that floats around 300. I mean, he's not going to hit. Look, we know he's not going to hit home runs. He's going to get you to doubles. But it is what it is. I mean, you have to admit he's improved his fielding at second base, which is, you couldn't put him anywhere. 2 years ago.
Well,
in the outfield, he was atrocious.
I was just going to say, remember him in the outfield? I mean,
my God.
He was like the bad news bears. Speaking of the outfield, who's the kid that is looking? Yeah, but we got a center fielder that is athletic. Now, he can't hit the ball, but if he could start to hit, what's his name? I just saw him for the first time. They put him in, and he had a great game in a losing effort when the bullpen shockingly gave up the game a couple of nights ago. But who's this new kid? Do you know who I'm talking about?
The new kid?
Well, they brought him up.
I mean, the only person I know that is brought up was Andrew Brown.
No. This was 2 weeks ago, and he's been playing center field. I guess instead of Valdespin. Who's been starting over? Who's been starting in center field?
Well, at least they had Colin Calgill was there, and they
Not
had Baxter would play every now and
Baxter. Then. Come on, it's a young kid. I think he's Hispanic. I think he's Hispanic. Anyway,
Bird is in center field once in a while. Neuenhuis is down in the minors trying to find out where his swing's at.
Yeah.
Dude is no, he's not center
field. Duda. I told you, Duda, it was gonna hit. He's hitting well. He's hitting well.
Is that the kid? Is his name Lagares?
Yes, Lagares. He's good. Okay. Lagares is good. He can't hit. He can't hit.
But he's not even hitting 100.
No, that's his problem. He can't hit. But he's been making some fantastic plays. He plays deep, but he's got blazing speed, man. And he's been defensively. He's pretty solid. Yeah. Too bad he can't.
Defensively, yeah, but we have no
hitting.
Hitting in the outfield.
No, we have no hit. We have no hitting on the infield. We have no hitting. We have no hitting and no pitching. So what does that tell you?
We have my idol at third base. Come on, he's hitting 302. Come on.
He's a crick in his back injury away from missing the season. You watch, man. You watch. But all right, here's the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's talk a little football. The draft took place, and before we get into the draft, a couple of things. First of all, to all the Giant fans out there and to anybody tuning into this show and expecting to hear some talk about the Giants, I don't have any talk about the Giants right now, Mikey. I don't know if you have any points you want to make about the Giants, but the Giants are the Giants. They're doing everything right. They're going to go into this season. They were preaching and bragging that they're going to be a Super Bowl contender and expect to play the first Super Bowl in New York. They expect to be part of that game. And with some of the moves and solidifying, their roster, first they signed David Carr, then they make a surprising move and get a possible future quarterback in the draft. Their defense is solid. what can I say negative about the Giants? I mean, they're doing everything right.
They usually do with Jerry Reese. I mean, he's proven himself a fantastic GM. Listen, they had a pretty good draft. Their first pick was the kid from Syracuse, Justin Pugh. Yeah. The only knock on this guy, he's got short arms, but he's pretty good. There's nothing other than that I could say negative about this guy. You talked about the quarterback of the future. You're referring to Ryan Nazib.
Yeah,
Nazib from Syracuse as well.
Yeah,
I mean that's a value pick. Fourth round, 110th pick. I mean, this guy was projected to go in the first round. I mean, some people had him as the top quarterback.
That's right. No, I got news for you. The National Football the National Football Post, which is on Yahoo, had Ryan Nassib ranked the number one player of all the draft. They had him, of course, at number one in quarterback, but they had him ranked the number one player in the draft. So talk about value at number 4. Amazing.
I think that's overrating him. I mean, they could say what they want, but I mean, the number one player of all the players in the draft, and you're going to rate this guy the number one.
That's what they said. The
that.
national.
I think people make mistakes and sometimes overrate people. I think that he's definitely overrated. If you're going to say that about him.
National Football Post. Check it out, Yahoo. But I agree
crazy.
with you. The Giants did well in the draft. They picked the offensive guard first round, and of course their patented great defensive choices in the second and third round, and so on. But. Oh, we're going to talk the Jets.
Circus.
Yeah, let's talk the Jets. The Jets, well, first and foremost, the Jets made some news the other day. There were 2 players that signed with the Jets. Now, they weren't drafted, and we had a defensive end, Claude Davis, and a cornerback, Cliff Harris. They both signed with the Jets, some kind of a deal to participate in training and I guess the practice squad deal or something like that. And they were so happy that they went off and smoked a joint together and got busted in New Jersey. And we're such
Morristown.
So here's the thing. And my point isn't about the weed. It's not about the pick. It's not about the signing. It's about the characters that the Jets have a tendency to attract. And this is what makes this team so effed up. They go for these kinds of personalities, which, have haunted them. That we're going to have a terrible year. Thank God Revis is gone. He was a great example. But we got many players in his place. Our receiver is Holmes is going to be a cancer. We all know that. Refuses to take a pay cut unless he changed his mind. I didn't even hear.
Well, before you go on, he didn't take a pay cut. I mean, the football National Football League is not going to allow that. He did reconstruct his contract.
Yeah, that's what I meant. He did? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, he did.
The Jets.
But I mean, he's still going to get paid his money.
The Jets released the only good guy they've ever drafted, aside from maybe Peyton. What's his name? Peyton there. Not Peyton. I was going to say Peyton Manning. Chad Pennington. But the Jets released Tebow finally. And even insiders feel that they just totally screwed this guy over from the minute they signed him until now. We also hear that we look at the Jets draft and first of all let me say this. There was a guy that says the Jets. There was a post somewhere that I picked up. I don't even know where I saw it. I forgot. I just have a note here. And I loved it so much. He says the Jets, and whoever this person was, says the Jets should be renamed to the New York. They should be called the New York Hindenburgs with all of this stuff, which I actually like. And you look at this, and here's the way the Jets draft went. The first round, they picked up a cornerback from Alabama, D. Milliner, who isn't a bad pick, but you have to really question and say to yourself, I guess they had to get a cornerback, but you there's so many other guys. I mean, They ended
There's
up
a lot of holes to fill, brother. I mean,
I
you
know.
know that. There's a lot of holes to fill.
Well. Then they've tried to fill one of those holes by picking Sheldon Richardson, but defensive tackle.
That blew my mind.
That was strange. Yeah, they pick him. Those are their 2 number 1 picks. So naturally, their second round, you figure they were going to continue and go defense, but no, wait, they need what position do they need the most? Of quarterback, of course. So they draft Geno Smith, which shocked the hell out of me.
That didn't shock me.
Well,
why did it shock you?
Well, because first of all, Geno Smith. What?
Go ahead.
Geno Smith.
Isn't it another hole we have to fill?
Okay, but they first of all, Tyler Wilson was available in the later rounds in the number 4, who was from Arkansas, which is a talented quarterback. Here's my problem with the Jets staff in picking quarterbacks, and it goes back all the way until Kenny O'Brien. All right.
Oh, when we could have had Marino. Go ahead.
No, not that. Why do you got to bring that up? I was looking at physical attributes. Kenny O'Brien was a tall guy. Since Kenny O'Brien, I do not believe we have had a quarterback that's over 6'2". As a matter of fact, I think, and you can check and see if I'm wrong, but Geno Smith very well be the next tallest quarterback that we have at 6'2". Since Kenny O'Brien. We draft 6'1" quarterbacks that are monsters compared to you and me, but they're Smurfs in football. They can't even look over their offensive line, let alone a defensive line. With that said, next year they anticipated the draft to be better for quarterbacks. They picked Geno Smith, who had a lot of knocks on him. Granted, he only threw 5 or 6 interceptions against 40-something touchdowns. But this is a guy that already shows me that he's got the same mentality of a Revis. This is going to be an all-about-me kind of a guy for the New York Jets. What's your thoughts on him? Obviously, you disagree with me.
Well, this is before I heard all the knocks on him as far as he's tough to coach, he's a brat. He doesn't pay attention.
He fires his agent. He fires his agent for him not being picked in the first. I've heard some pointing fingers before, but I have never ever heard of somebody firing. I could see firing an agent if you don't get the deal you want. I could see firing an agent if there was a stipulation in your contract that was crazy or something like that. But firing an agent because you don't get drafted in the first round, I mean, what's he supposed to do? Get on his knees for all the GMs on the football teams to get his guy done in the first round? I mean, come on.
No, I mean that was the first sign right there. You're right, and so yeah, now you're concerned about, again, you point to character and as far as physical skills, and did he have a good career? Yeah. Does he have potential physically to be a good quarterback? Yeah. But you have to worry about the coaching, and like you said, is he going to turn out to be another Darrell Revis? It's all about me. So when I first heard the pick, I was okay with it because I knew we needed running back help, and I knew we were going to go after Chris Ivory, and it was pretty much in the bag that we were going to get him. That's why I if we didn't get Ivory, then I wanted to get Lacey.
And you just stole some thunder out of my thing, because the Jets, when they chose him, and then Lacey was picked. Lacey was picked after that. I mean, why not take Lacey? Lacey's still staring at you. And many people thought that Lacey was going to be a top number 1 pick. He slips down into the second round, and the Jets could have had Lacey, and I don't understand why they didn't get Lacey. I really don't. I know the knock was that he's a bruising guy and that health is an issue. He's beat up even now. But still, man, I mean, and they end up picking Brian Winters for the offensive guard position. Now, I know he's a big guy. I know that they say that he's very very good. He's very nimble on his feet. for a 300-pounder, but he's from Kent State. You know, when you're picking those kinds of guys, I would think, linemen, you want to pick it from a top football program, man. I know Kent State's a Division I team, but, you know, you want to pick a top football program for your linemen. You want guys that are used to seeing other big guys. Kent State, come on, he could have been tossing around other players, defensive linemen, but he ain't going to be tossing anybody around in the NFL.
Listen, I'm gonna wait to pass judgment on that because what I did like about the pick is that he's a run blocker, and that's what we need. I mean, we don't
have anybody to run. We don't have anybody to run. You have all this high hope in Chris Ivy.
Now you got Chris Ivy.
You
don't think Chris Ivy is gonna be a good player for the Jets?
I think he's too small.
No, he's not. He's 6 foot 2.25.
What does he weigh?
He got to be 6'5".
How much?
Running back?
No, I want a bruising guy. He's not. He's more of a scat back type of a runner, isn't he? He's a speed guy.
No, I mean, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Number one, he doesn't possess blazing speed. Number two, he does get you yards per carry. The only reason he didn't play in New Orleans is because they had so many guys in the backfield. Plus, you had a quarterback who doesn't need a running game, who got you down the field, and Drew Brees. Listen, you know I play fantasy football. Every once in a while, I would look to see if this guy was available just as a backup for me, because when he does play, he does perform. So I was very happy with us getting Ivory. I mean, and at 6 foot 2.25, he can bang too. You know who he reminds me of? Who's the running back years ago? Used to play for San Francisco. He had his knees were always high. Tough runner.
Roger Craig. Yeah.
He reminds me of Roger Craig.
Yeah, but can he catch the ball? Can he catch the ball?
He reminds me of Marion Barber, who played for Dallas and played for Chicago.
If he can play like Marion Barber, I'll be happy, because I loved Marion Barber. I thought he was a tough guy, man. If he's that style running back, then I never saw him. Then I'm thinking of somebody totally different. So
if you like Marion Barber, and you're gonna like, I'll tell you, bro, you're gonna like Chris Ivory. Chris Ivory could be a starter on other teams. The only reason he wasn't because they were just chock full of people. And don't forget, they picked Mark Ingram. And you know, when you pick somebody that high, you got to put him in. You know, just like any other sport, you pick a guy that high, you got to save face. That's why we still play Sanchez. You know, because what do? We moved up to the 5th spot to pick him. So you still got to save face. You still got to play him.
The Jets picked up a running back from Wake Forest, Tommy Bohannon, who's I think going to be a sleeper. I think he makes the team. I know he was a 7th round pick, but
he's a bruising back. I mean, he's like they picked up that guy they were so high on 2 years ago, John Connor, the Terminator, this, that, and the other thing.
What happened to him? What happened to him?
Well, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone, right?
Yeah,
he got hurt or something.
Ryan was so happy about this guy. Call him the Terminator, John Connor, blah, blah, blah. Stop yourself, you nonsense. Rex Ryan. So, I mean, am I jumping for joy about Tommy Bohannon? No. I mean, but do we need a good fullback? Yeah, it'd be nice to have one.
I just think that he was
6'1", 250. I mean, this guy's a bruiser.
I just think it was a decent pick for a 7th round. You know, I don't know.
A 7th round, yeah. I mean, if you get value out of a 7th round pick, and you get yourself a decent fullback, absolutely. These are all value picks.
How about moving Copels to outside linebacker? What's up with that?
How do you move a guy 290 pounds?
I don't know. The last time they did that was with the defensive lineman from West Virginia. He was with the Jets for a long, long time, and it destroyed his career. I mean, all we talked about was how Copels looked good this year. You know, that he was coming on, he was this, he was that, and then I read the other day, they moved him to outside linebacker. I'm like, what? You know, I mean, what? Unless they're planning on doing like what they did with Lawrence Taylor, have him rush every single play, and they just changed his position. I don't know, but that seems like another stupid Jet type of a move. You know, I mean,
you got a guy that big. You don't want to play him standing up. You want to play him, on the ground.
And you and you draft a defensive tackle that you would think you would be giving him more of opportunities to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, and that second round draft, that second player pick, Sheldon Richardson. Okay, why are we drafting another defensive tackle? And you got Muhammad Wilkerson, you got Kenrick Ellis. Why are we drafting another defensive tackle? Why are we not drafting somebody in hopes of getting to the quarterback? Why did we not draft Jarvis Jones from Georgia?
I don't know.
To Pittsburgh.
He was
went
right.
To Pittsburgh. Yeah, they had a great draft.
Hey, what about and I tell you another guy we missed on, LeVar Edwards went to the Titans. He's a defensive end from LSU, big, strong, fast guy. They passed on him too. And why not go for any linebackers? They didn't draft one linebacker, not one. We don't have any. Who's our linebackers?
I know.
Who can you name any of our linebackers? Don't tell me Kyle Clifton.
Harris?
Don't tell me. I like David
Mario
Harris.
Davis.
I like
Mario Davis.
I like David Harris.
He's going to be in his second year.
Kyle Clifton.
David Harris. Calvin Pace. We resigned Calvin Pace.
Wait a minute. I thought we got rid of. I thought he left. He resigned.
No, we have Calvin Pace.
Oh, because they released him and then re-signed him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's back with us. So you got Calvin Pace. You got Demario Davis, who I think is going to have a good year. You got David Harris, who, listen, David Harris is not, you don't hear his name.
No, he's the best linebacker on that team.
He's solid.
Yeah, he's the best linebacker on that team.
He's been a solid linebacker for us. Other than that, who do we got?
Nobody. You got nobody, and it's tough. All right, let's talk about the quarterback situation. There's a lot of rumors that Mark Sanchez will not be on the roster come opening day. People think that he's going to be sent packing somewhere around the first week of June, and that the Jets are willing to let that $8-point-something million go to try and develop their new quarterback, Geno Smith. John Eisdick also said in the press this past week that it's a totally open, and he means it, an open competition between Geno Smith, Mark Sanchez, David Gerard, Matt Sims, and McElroy. Unbelievable. And thank God they at least removed poor Tim Tebow out of the mix. And what about Tebow turning down not one but two offers, and both from teams that are expected to make it to the playoffs and even the Super Bowl with the 49ers, to take a position as tight end, and him saying no. Just crazy stuff all around, and it's all connected to the Jets.
Let's talk Tebow first. Number one, the Jets just did this guy a disservice. I mean, I know what the Jets were doing. They were holding out hope that somebody was going to give them, a 7th-round pick for Tim Tebow. But you knew as well as I did, as well as the Jets did, that wasn't going to happen. So what do? They wait until the day after the draft to release him. I mean, they screwed this guy over. They basically did. Listen, we know he can't hit the broadside of a barn, but I mean, they didn't even give him a shot. I mean, just put him in. What do you got to lose? You're terrible, and look how bad Sanchez is. So, listen, the way they treated this guy, as bad as he is, it was. They lied to him. They lied to him, and you got to feel for the guy. I mean, I think he's terrible, but as a quarterback, but you got to feel for him for what the Jets did to him.
I agree, and I would have. I hate to say this, but I would have kept Tebow. You watch. You know who Tebow's going to end up with? I was talking to my buddy about this. I bet you he ends up in New England somehow.
I knew you. See, I knew you were going to say that. I mean,
it makes sense. You watch.
You got Daniels over there, who was his coach in Denver. He's kind of tight with Bill Belichick. But here's the thing. Number one, you're never going to take Brady off the field to put in a Tebow package.
No, but you may play Tebow on doing what the Jets were going to do with him. Like on fake punts or on kickoff returns, and just have him on the field, and then have him as an emergency backup should Brady go down. I mean,
the Patriots already have their backup quarterback, so Tebow wouldn't even be the backup. He'd be the third string if they did put him in, and then if you do have to get to the third string quarterback, then you got to change your whole plan to fit his style. So even if Bill Belichick told him, come to the Patriots, I don't think he's going to go. He wants to go where he can play, but that's the catch. It's the catch-22. You want to go where you can play, but nobody wants to play you.
He's.
I mean, he got picked. San Francisco said, "Come be our tight end." No, he's dead set against being a quarterback in the NFL. That's like me trying to be a center in the NBA. It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. And then I don't even think you could be a guard in the NBA. But
I couldn't even sweep the floor.
I was just gonna say I couldn't even wipe the sweat up off the floor in the basketball. But
I mean, it's ridiculous. But I mean, Tebow, he just thinks that he is this. I think he thinks more of his talent than what's there. That's the problem with Tim Tebow. Everybody, because coming out of college, he's probably one of the best college players of all time. He's got to be ranked up there.
There was rumor that the Dolphins wanted him, and the Dolphins got up on the podium and like, no, there's no truth to that rumor. We don't want him near the stadium.
Listen, he's cleared waivers. Who's picked him up? Nobody.
And
who's going to say you're going to be our backup quarterback?
He thought that he might get a chance in the Canadian Football League, and Warren Moon comes in in public and says he doesn't have a shot. He would not fit into the games of the Canadian Football League because they're
that's probably more of a passing league than the NFL.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's more passing oriented. And then there was rumor that he was going to play in the Arena League, and I laughed. How could you play in the Arena League? That's all passing. That's like playing at the football games when you're tailgating. That's arena football. Nobody runs.
And also with his belief in his skills, even if he was offered to be a starting quarterback in the Arena League, do you think he's going to go there? No,
I don't know.
I don't know what is in this guy's mind and what he thinks, but he thinks a lot more of his skills than what's actually what we actually see on the field. And I can almost say the guy's delusional. Yeah,
there's something, and it's probably has to do with his faith, and he's getting the wrong message. But anyway, overall, I don't know how I feel about Geno Smith, Mikey. I really don't. West Virginia wasn't exactly a team that I don't know, man. I mean, they had a good year, I guess, but and he had a good year. A lot of people were critical of him in the second half of the year. He made a lot of mistakes and did stupid stuff, but he still won the games. I just don't see. I just don't see him helping the Jets. And as a matter of fact, I see him hurting them, not with his play, but just his presence. I mean, there's so much, you got Matt Sims, who's got a connection, obviously, with Phil Simms, right? So that's the only reason why he's even still mentioned, all right?
Correct.
So that's number one. Number two, we got McElroy, who is a quality quarterback, but again, he's too small, too fragile. And yet we have a whole slew of those guys. Mark Sanchez.
Well, I mean, as far as physical stature, he's the same as everybody else, 6'2" and 200 plus. But he doesn't have any arm strength whatsoever.
My arms are bigger than his.
Neither did Pennington, I should say, but he's not as good as Pennington.
Well, wait a minute. He's better than Pennington because Pennington couldn't throw the ball more than 12 yards. Pennington could not throw the ball past anything further than a 15-yard pass play. Pennington couldn't get. However, Pennington was very accurate on those short passes. But that's why we had to give a guy away like Santana Moss because we couldn't get the ball to him. He'd break that pass pattern and be down the field 50 yards, and we couldn't even get the ball to him. So
right.
And speaking of receivers. Remind me, who are our receivers again? Because we didn't even come close to picking a receiver. They didn't even go for a freaking receiver in the draft. Even just some guy. Just do me a favor. Just, draft some guy. Who's our receivers? I read somewhere that they're considering giving what's his name? Braylon Edwards, another chance. Another chance. He's your best receiver.
You're going to need him.
He's the best receiver that the Jets have had on that team in the last 3 years. Not stats-wise, just clutch and blocking and keeping his mouth shut. He's labeled as such a troublemaker, but as a New York Jet, the guy has been I would have signed him. I would have made him I would have clearly put him in place as a starting receiver. What's our alternatives? Who do we have aside from the Georgia Tech kid who didn't even make it through half a season last year? Who else do we have?
Two. Santonio Holmes and Jeremy Curley.
Oh, Curley.
I can name the other ones, but you're going to say, who were they?
Jeremy Curley was a guy that did okay because he had we had no one else.
Yeah, well, he's a smurf. He's your slot receiver. That's the bottom line.
You know, they had Clowney
your
too.
outside receivers is Santonio Holmes and Stephen Hill.
And Santonio Holmes is going to be nothing but a troublemaker. And I guarantee you, he's going to try to you're my brother type thing with Geno Smith. Guaranteed he's going to start some stuff with Geno Smith. You watch. He's going to be.
He should be starting. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Guaranteed he's going to be looking after him like he's his little brother. You watch. There's going to be some stuff between Geno Smith and Holmes. That's gonna. Yeah. You're probably right. I see that scenario playing out myself.
Yeah, crazy, and I'm still not over them getting rid of the guy that I thought was the best lineman they had. They pissed away Matt Slauson, which was a young lineman, a tough guy, a kind of guy I want on my team, especially with the slew of quarterbacks. So let me ask you, let's talk quarterback again. I mean, who are they going to keep? Are they?
Okay.
They're going to keep.
Let's break it down. We got 5, and we're going to keep 3, right?
Well, and I'm sure somebody's going to get stuck on the practice squad. Most likely, McElroy.
Yeah. You're gonna have your starter, your backup, and the third guy is going to be on the practice squad because you're only going to dress 2, right?
Well, to me that's a stupid rule because.
But, I mean, it is what it is. We dress 2, right?
Well,
so let's go down. Let's go down
you
the
can
list.
dress 3. You can dress 3, and the whole point of having 3 quarterbacks is the nature of the position, and especially when you have 6'1" quarterbacks that aren't very big. Like none of our quarterbacks are big. That means they're susceptible to injury. And considering we have no offense to do anything with, the quarterbacks are going to be under constant pressure all year.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, let's break it down. Look. You're going to keep David Gerard until he gets injured, correct?
Which isn't going to take too long.
He could be stepping off the plane. You never know, right?
He might be injured right now.
But out of all your quarterbacks right now, who has the most experience and who is the best statistic wise right now? David Gerard.
Well, David Gerard. Insiders say that David Gerard and Geno Smith. David Gerard was the reason they got Geno Smith because they feel that he would be a perfect mentor for Geno Smith. Now, does that mean that he could change his role and become a quarterback's coach? Does that mean he becomes a third string guy and Geno Smith becomes a second? Or does that mean that Gerard is going to play and be a playing mentor to Geno Smith? I mean, again, we're talking about the Jets here, so there is no correct answer, but I don't know. So you're saying you're mentioning David Gerard first, so you think he's making the team. He's one.
I think David Gerard, if he stays healthy through preseason, I think he emerges as the Jets starting quarterback.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
They take the oldest, the guy who hasn't thrown a ball in 2 years. You think he starts for the Jets?
Hey, didn't he beat out everybody in Miami? But then he got hurt. He was named the starting quarterback in Miami, if you remember correctly. He was the starter. He beat out Tannehill and he beat out Moore. He beat them both. Yeah, I mean, he's far from elite.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're not talking about...
He's very good, but he's a solid quarterback. He's always had a solid year when he's healthy.
But his feet helped him have solid years, which he doesn't have anymore. You know, his feet... when he was with Jacksonville, his scrambling ability and his size, because he is a big quarterback, kept him going and kept defenses on their toes because they didn't know what he was going to do. And he had a great running back there. Come on, he had a great running back with the Jaguars. So... I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay, so you got him. You think he's going to emerge as a starter. What else? Who else is going to stick around?
Geno Smith. I mean, now Geno Smith is now John Idzik's guy. Geno Smith is John Idzik's Russell Wilson.
We don't even know how long. We don't even know how long John Idzik is going to be around.
John Idzik is going to be around a lot longer than Rex Ryan.
You think? You think so?
I know. Yeah, absolutely. I'd bet on that.
Huh?
And what general manager doesn't want to pick his own, head coach? They could say whatever they want in the papers, But what general manager does not want to pick his own head coach? Seriously, that's a joke. I mean, the only reason that Idzik, it's his first GM job. I mean, he's been behind the scenes and he's been in football all his life, but it's his first GM job. So Woody tells you, look, this is your first job. This is my coach. You got him for at least a year. Look, come on. Rex is going to be gone after this year. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the quarterback. I mean, the quarterback. They're going to, obviously, Geno Smith, because that's, like I said, it's Idzik's guy. They're going to hope that this guy can emerge as the starter, and they're going to hope that this guy can be a new franchise quarterback, better than the mistake they made with Mark Sanchez. Okay, now it gets tricky. Now you got McElroy, you got Sanchez, and you got Sims. I think Sims is gone. I think Sims is out. You got to take out Sims right away out of the equation. Then you got McElroy and you got Sanchez. You've seen them both play. If Mark, wasn't owed and guaranteed $8.25 million, I think he'd be gone. It'd be McElroy. However, that being said, he still has much more experience. He's been in games. He's been to playoffs. He, as bad as he is, he still has the experience, and he's got that $8 million hanging over his head. So I think he's probably your third string quarterback. They could say what they want about getting rid of him. I'll believe it when I see it. So right now I have David Gerard, I have Geno Smith, and I have Mark Sanchez on the team come opening day.
Yeah, I have a tendency to agree with you. I don't think that Mark Sanchez is going anywhere. McElroy, so you think so what do you think? What did you say, McElroy? They're going to put him on the practice squad?
Well, I guess you could have 4, I mean, you maybe keep him on the practice squad.
Well, yeah.
It'd be nice to have him there. I think Sims is gone.
Well,
we'll get rid of Sims.
What they did with McElroy prior to last year was he got some mystery thumb injury just before the deadline, and they had him on some kind of not able to perform list, so they kept him on the team. So he was with them as an injury. Then last year he kind of emerged as the number 3 guy. So it's a good point. I'm not so sure about the deal and the rules with the practice squad, but that's where Matt Sims was last year. He was on the practice squad. So I don't know how many quarterbacks can you keep on the practice squad. How many players are on the practice squad? Listen. Matt Sims is hanging around because of Phil. McElroy was a good quarterback. I mean, I just think he's too small. Maybe we see him go. And you're right. And now what happens if Sanchez leaves? What if Mark Sanchez, if the Jets just decide to toss him away? Now you leave the door open for exactly what you think. Gerard starting the season, Geno Smith as number 2, and McElroy fitted in at number 3 again, right?
Yeah. That's how I see it going. I think Gerard stays there as long as he's healthy, and then he, like you said, he's going to be Smith's mentor, and I mean the guy is as far as his character, he's always been a very good player, a very good teammate. He's never been in trouble. So that's the kind of guy they want. Not that Sanchez was, but Gerard has had a better career than Mark Sanchez.
Well, Gerard, I think the health issue. If I'm the Jets, and a concern with any NFL team is longevity for the long season and the wear and tear on your body. And Gerard, there's a lot of question marks with him. As a starter. So he would be more if I'm making a decision and I'm factoring in now. Of course, if his preseason and everything, if the guy looks phenomenal and he's just that much better than every other quarterback on the team, well, that changes it around. But assuming that the level of play is somewhat equal, I would think that Gerard would be stronger as a backup quarterback and use as needed type of a thing to preserve his health. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. But that means you'd have to have a decent starter. So you put Girard as your backup. Who's your starter?
Well, that's the question, and I can't see them starting Geno Smith. I can't, and unless look at it this way, they're crazy, never succeeded in anything offensive coordinator. He loved Geno Smith. He had some private workouts with him. Is he installing a new offense, which could make things a lot easier for Geno Smith to just come in and take over? Should Mark Sanchez not be there? But don't be surprised if you see Mark Sanchez start the year, Girard number 2, and Geno Smith number 3.
No, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I wouldn't be shocked by it. But Mark Sanchez has to beat out David Girard. He still has to beat him out. I mean, it's a competition.
Well, he says, according to Mark Sanchez, he's psyched about the competition. Boomer Esiason.
Come on.
Boomer
psyched about it. He's all excited about the competition.
Boomer Esiason said some stuff that I 100% agree with. He says, you look at the face of Mark Sanchez, and he gives you the impression that he just doesn't want to be there. Like he could care less about.
Why would you want to be there?
Mark
Sanchez can't. I bet you right now, if number one, look, every time you talk to these players and these GMs and these coaches, they never tell you the truth. They lie to your face. All right, we know that. They always beat around the bush. He's even worse than Tannenbaum was. I don't like to, talk hypotheticals. I don't want to make predictions. He gives you nothing. Okay? Sanchez always says the right thing. But if the day Mark Sanchez is out of New York, that's going to be the happiest day of this guy's life. And when he writes that book, how when they wrote the book The Bronx Zoo, it's going to be the Queens Zoo because I should say Queens. I keep thinking Shea Stadium when Jets playing there. He can't be happy. He can't be. He went through the whole year with the Tebow thing, and then what did the Jets do? They draft another quarterback. They tell you without telling you, we don't like you. We can't wait to get rid of you. That's what it's saying. He's not excited there's going to be a competition. Would you be? No.
Let me tell you. You know where he belongs? The Raiders. He belongs on the Oakland Raiders, man. You watch if he ends up with those. And I like Tyler Wilson. I thought Tyler Wilson was the sleeper quarterback in the draft, man. When I realized that he was available, I hoped and prayed that the Jets were going to pick him. There were a lot of experts saying that they were going to go for Geno Smith, but everyone, including Geno Smith, thought it would be in the first round. But Tyler Wilson, he's a passing quarterback. He's an NFL style quarterback. You watch, he's going to be a star, and he ended up with the Raiders. So we'll see what happens there. But
so you say that right now, on this date, you're saying you think Sanchez is going to beat out Girard, be the starting quarterback. Girard is going to be second, and Geno Smith is the third string.
No. What am I saying today?
I told you my pick. I said I think if Girard stays healthy, he beats out everybody. He's the starting quarterback. Geno Smith will be his backup, and then Sanchez will be the third string.
If Sanchez is on the team, he'll be the starter. Girard will be number 2. Geno Smith will be number 3. If Sanchez gets cut and released and given away or whatever he's going to be done within, by the first week of June, then I think Geno Smith will be the starter. I think David Girard will be second string, and I think McElroy will be the third string. I do not see David Girard being the starter. I think his age, I think his vulnerability with health is going to make him the perfect second-string quarterback. I want a guy with talent. I want him to look great in preseason and to secure his second-string job, but he's not going to be a starter. I think you're right about Geno Smith. If he has a good camp and stuff, he could emerge as the starter, but I think you're looking at either Smith or Sanchez as the starter.
Okay, that's fair enough.
So, and I still have no idea about how well Geno Smith is going to do. Once again, the Jets are not giving any of these quarterbacks a supporting cast. We don't have a receiver. We have 2 receivers.
No tight ends.
No tight ends. None. And they even passed up on a couple of decent tight ends in the draft too. But
you're starting right now. Your starting tight end is Jeff Cumberland.
I know. And how many catches did he have last year? Did he even have 20?
Probably not.
I don't think so. I don't think so. He filled in a little bit and didn't even do that great of a job. Getting rid of Keller was a big mistake. The guy was, but then again, maybe they're getting rid of all of the security blankets for Sanchez because there's not one left on the team. Even if they get Braylon Edwards is a must sign for the Jets. If John Isaac is watching or listening right now, that has to be a move that this man has to make. There is no reason not to. For some reason, no team wants to sign this guy. He comes cheap, and he plays week in and week out. It's a guy that is a necessity for the Jets. Their second-string receiver from Georgia Tech, what's his name? He didn't show us anything last year. He showed us, actually, he was an underachiever. He dropped
Stephen Hill.
Yeah, Stephen Hill. He dropped balls that he should have caught. He caught a couple of balls he should have dropped, but then he got hurt and we never saw him again. He seems kind of wimpy, doesn't want to play through pain. As far as Holmes, I think he was overrated. I think he was probably the most overpaid receiver in the league. And, I don't mind the other guy, not Clowney, Jeremy Curley. He's okay, but they're going to kill him. They throw, the slot receiver, the smallest guy, what do they have him? They have him running, crossing patterns over the middle where he gets murdered. He's not going to last long.
That's the slot receiver's job. So,
yeah, but
doing it.
But you need a tough guy there. You need a Wayne Corbett. You need a guy. Yeah, but a slot receiver could do pass patterns that are short out patterns where you don't kill them. You're running them across the middle all the time, and that's what the Jets do with their slot. They run them across the middle. The New England, they don't always. Well, they did with what's his name, but they had a lot of short little out patterns to the sidelines, which is a safer play.
I think you're going to see that a lot in Morningwig's offense, and that's why I think Smith he's a quarterback that's conducive to Marty's offense. So I think it's going to be beneficial for him. So very short passes, and that's what he did a lot in West Virginia. A lot of short, safe passes. Used his legs when he needed to use his legs. So I think this system will work for him. I don't know if it's going to work for Sanchez. I don't think any system is going to really work for Sanchez. Sanchez needs a great supporting cast on both sides of the ball. But listen, we'll see. We'll see if Geno Smith can make better with less support. The same as Mark Sanchez getting less support. So we'll see.
Well, I could say, Mikey, is Geno Smith's not in West Virginia anymore.
That's right.
So anyway, listen, let's wrap it up. I got some stuff on this day in New York sports history. On this day, May 4th, back in 1919, the first legal Sunday baseball games are played in New York. The Phillies beat the Giants 4-3 at the Polo Grounds, and the Dodgers beat the Braves 6-2 at Ebbets Fields. And by the way, that was the Boston Braves, not the Atlanta Braves. On this day, May 4th, in 1970, with the Knicks trailing 25-15 in the first quarter of the fifth game of the NBA Final, Willis Reed collapses on the court with a pulled leg muscle. Down 53-40 at the half. And without their best player, the Knicks pull off one of the most famous comebacks in NBA history by beating the Lakers 107-100 at Madison Square Garden. On this day, May 4th, in 1972, completing their comeback from a 2-0 deficit, the Nets beat the Squires 94-88 in Norfolk, Virginia, to take the ABA Eastern Divisional Final in 7 games to advance to their very first ABA Final. And finally, on this day, May 4th, in 1990, Patrick Ewing scores 44 points. He grabs 13 rebounds and ties a club record with 7 steals to help the Celtics win 135-108 and even their series over. Helps the Knicks beat the Celtics, pound the Celtics 135-108 to even their best of 5 series at 2 each. So that's what happened on this day, May 4th, in all those years. Mikey, Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Looking forward to Game 7 in Brooklyn tonight, and then right after that, the big fight in Las Vegas. Are you doing anything for the Billy C boxing after the fight?
Yes, we will have a post-fight immediately following the announcement of the winner tonight. It'll most likely be around 1 a.m., but definitely tune in right here, BillyCBoxing.com. The chat room will be open. The phone lines will be open. We're going to be going for at least 90 minutes, probably 2 hours. So, when you're sitting around wanting to talk and complain or something, make sure you join us in our reindeer games, brother.
Well, when I kick everybody out of the house, I'll definitely go online. And listen, I hope I have to eat so much crow to you tonight, because I really want Guerrero to pull it off. I just don't see. I just see Floyd coming on late and stealing the last, 3 or 4 rounds and just winning a unanimous decision.
Well, when Guerrero knocks him out, and you know that somebody in upstate New York is going to be jumping for joy, you can tune in and see the happiness on my face. But I'll also give Floyd the accolades should he win, because I think that Robert Ducos Guerrero is a formidable foe, that's for sure. And I, too, am going to be pulling for our Nets. I hope the Nets move on and take their beating from the Heat like men. So we will look forward to that. Mikey, great job as usual, and I look forward to next week, my man.
I look forward to tonight. I'll talk to you tonight after the fight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, tune in next week. Ciao, baby.